Sting was born Gordon Sumner on October 2 of 1951, gaining his fame as the singer, bassist, and songwriter for the band The Police, one of the highest-selling music acts of all time. The Police would score a string of major hit songs like Roxanne, Every Breath You Take, Message in a Bottle, Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic, and so many others. The band would be active from 1977 to 1986, and again in 2007 and 2008. Sting would also release a host of solo albums with a wide range of sounds and genres. Sting would find success in the film world with theatrical and television movies like The Bride and Dune.
Now, what about this film? There's been so many things in the press about different film parts that you're going to be doing. What are your film plans?
I'm going to do a film called Brimstone and Treacle, which you won't show either.
Not very good to you, really, are we?
No.
Yeah. And when do you start that?
In October.
How does that fit in with all your work with Police?
It just does. It fits in a great little slot right in the middle of touring.
Yeah. Now, you've got a new album coming out in 2 weeks, which you filmed in Montserrat, didn't you?
We filmed it. No, we recorded
it in Montserrat.
And we filmed it.
Yeah,
you're right.
You did film it because we're going to be seeing you doing that in just a moment. You made the album very quickly, didn't you? 4 weeks.
4 weeks. We finished 2 hours ahead of schedule.
Because so many bands, the more popular they get, the longer they seem to spend in the studio.
Well, they sit around, with their feet up.
Yes.
We don't.
But somewhere like Montserrat, which is such a beautiful place, it must be very easy to sort of want to sit around and do nothing.
No, it's very nice to, if you had 10 minutes off, you go by the swimming pool and
but then
sunbathe, but then you get back to work.
Let's now see.
Sting's lyric writing style is as vast as the day is long. He can do the traditional love songs, but he finds that he can get more out of the negative side of love.
It's I love you, and you love me. It's very nice, but there's no way in. It's a closed loop. Whereas, I love you, but you love somebody else. Now that's interesting. It's painful, but it's interesting.
He has also often written about the anger and frustration that we all share.
Isn't it?
I think it's about youth in revolt, and youth are always revolting, so the present youth will find it good.
Well, Sting, we hope your eyes are better. Thank you very much indeed. Happy birthday.
Before his fame with the Police, he helped his father on his milk delivery job, but always wanted more out of life, and by age 10 he began learning music with a Spanish guitar left by an emigrating friend of the family. After holding jobs as a bus conductor, construction, and taxman, he taught at St. Paul's First School in Cramlington, while playing jazz music at night with the Phoenix Jazzmen Last Exit. He gained his nickname of Sting because he always wore on stage a black and yellow jumper with stripes. The Jazzmen's Gordon Solomon said that he thought Sting looked like a bee. In January of 1977, Sting moved from Newcastle to London and joined the Police that consisted of drummer Stuart Copeland and guitarist Henry Padovani, who was soon replaced by guitarist Andy Summers. Their initial sound was a play-off of punk music, but grew to a mixture of reggae rock and new wave keyboard pop. The Police would go on to release 5 multi-platinum studio albums: Outlandos d'Amour in 1978, Regatta de Blanc 1979, Zenyatta Mondata 1980, Ghost in the Machine 1981 and Synchronicity 1983.
Happy by love on the fields of you forget the sun in its jealous sky as Belial trees see I wish like a lover's soul upon the fields.
Big success in your life. It's interesting to look back at the salient factors that actually got you there. And I sincerely believe that our first interview with you on Radio Luxembourg, which was one of the first we ever did because no one wanted to talk to us at that stage, was very important to get the listeners of Europe to hear the Police and also the listeners in England. So I'm more than grateful for that time. I'd never been to Luxembourg. I'd never met you. I had a marvelous time when we were there. We flew in a little 2-seater aeroplane, if you remember. I was intrigued by that marvelous building that you worked in, and also by your courage and the way you got on with your job without any apologies or concessions. I think you deserve tonight. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you.
And thank you, Sting.
In Glasgow on Sunday.
Last night in a new role, movie star. I'm Bob Surratt, and you'll meet Sting coming up on Channel 2 News. Who is about to enter a new material world.
His career is reaching for the stars. For the past 6 years, he has headed an English rock group called The Police. His real name is Gordon Sumner. Bob Surratt reports on where he is going.
How does Sting find the transition from concerts to film?
In front of a camera in a studio, you don't have 16,000 people going, yeah, that was great. You have a director going, yeah, that was great. Next. So going from that response, that instant feedback, the rapport you have with an audience, to implicit trust in one man is quite a jump. And it takes a lot of discipline to work up the same amount of adrenaline for one man.
The Bride. What tell us about it?
It's a Frankenstein story, and I play the dreaded doctor. And let's speak up. I make a mate for the monster, and it's actually the sequel to The Bride of Frankenstein. It's not a remake of The Bride of Frankenstein. It's what happens after, and it's done in the style more of Mary Shelley's original novel than the Hollywood invention of the 30s.
Is it frightening?
It's not a horror film. I think it's a kind of fairy story, really, where I become a monster. I make monsters for a living, and I end up as a monster. It's also a Pygmalion story. I've invented this girl who I then teach how to behave in society, and it's a love story.
And why do you like the part?
Why? I think he's a fascinating character, and that he's very clever, but he can go one of two ways. He can either be very good and be useful for mankind, or he can do it harm if he makes the wrong choices, and he makes all the wrong choices.
The Police would tour through 1984 before taking a break, while Sting did his first solo album, The Dream of the Blue Turtles, and filmed The Bride. The question would be when, or even if, the Police would give it another run.
Finally, when do you think people are going to be able to see the Police again, apart from on this video?
I really don't know. I think it's very important not to just go out because the band accountant says, oh, you better go out and make $1 million, because that way is stagnation, as far as I'm concerned. I think the Police has to go back when we have a new idea or a new way of presenting ourselves. I don't want to just present the old formula, even though we know it works. That's not interesting.
Do you think you will have changed radically by the time you appear again?
I think we have to.
The Police would do a small number of shows in 1986, and would do re-recordings of some of their songs that would end up on a greatest hits album. The band would split up without making a formal statement saying so. Sting would release 15 solo albums to date, with Every Breath You Take becoming the most played song in radio history. Sting as part of the Police would be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame class of 2003. Then in 2007, things for Sting came full circle. After more than 20 years apart, the Police would embark on a world tour that blew all the other tours of the time out of the water, both in money and attendance. Sting was even knighted by the Queen of England in 2003. Sting continues to thrill and even mystifies his fans as to what his next album will be.